Hello, and welcome to the next part of the series. This time we're visiting the hammer tree, starting with the one-handed hammer. And if you want to hear a massive tangent on like the weapon abilities and how bad it is, you can just skip to the end. But for now, enjoy.
How's he still sprinting? Shit. I can't do anything. It's so bad. I'm so bad. There's no cooldown on this shit. That's bullshit. Of course my thing didn't hit. That's twice it doesn't hit. That still hits it, bro? Fuck this. Bro, this dash is not going anywhere, man. I hate this fucking shit. It's the same fucking thing. I can't wait.
Yeah, damn. Where do I even begin with this thing? So let's start with the Q. The Q is alright if you're using the threatening strike, because it does a decent amount of damage, and you don't really care about threat generation, at least not in solo corrupted dungeons. The bash, I don't even look at it because you're not going to do any damage, and the slow is, I mean, a slow could be interesting, but the damage is just not there for it. And now over to the W's. So heavy smash, it does decent damage, but the problem with it is that it's so slow. The cast time is so slow that even if I hit them with a stun from the E, it's not enough time for me to be able to actually land the heavy smash sometimes where they can just walk out of it, which is probably mostly due to my EU ping, which basically adds like a second of delay between everything that I do for my opponent. So, 2 seconds stun on my screen will be like a second for them. So they're already moving 1 second after I stun them. Slowing charge, I looked at it at the stats of it, and it says the range here on Albion 2D is that the range is 12, and I looked at the frost shot and the range was 13. So let's say you ran into like a bow user with this thing, you wouldn't like. Let's say for a hypothetical here, like let's say you're running assassin shoes with the swift cut, and you're using the slowing charge because you see there's a bow user. So let's say you do swift and cut to close the gap, and then they instantly frost shot. So you hit with their slow, and they have a 13, whatever the metric is in the game for the distance. So they have like a 13 squares away from you, and you try to dash up to them. You're only 12, so you're a little bit short, and you're slowed. So even if you try to like walk and catch up to that distance, you wouldn't catch them. But the big kicker is the fact that you use your boots and an ability, and all they did was use an ability, and they still have their boots to even make that gap even further, and they can auto attack you while running back and kiting you. That you're taking a lot of damage, and I guess here is like where you would probably use like your Inferno shield if you had it on, or maybe the Hunter hood, so that it'll like reflect a bunch of the damage back at them, so they'll stop shooting you for a second, and while you wait for your swift cut to come back on off cooldown. But they still have their hood, they still have their jacket. They have so much more tools still available to them compared to what you have. And your main source of damage is basically if you have the heavy smash, then that would be like your biggest damage, your biggest burst. And then like your main damage would basically just be spamming Q every 2 seconds. But the problem is like if you're using heavy smash and the threatening strike, is people are able to kite you. If they have any mobility at all, they can just simply kite you. Get away, reset if they have to. If they had like a bad trade, they can just reset, and you have no way of really catching up to them. And then it's like if you use slowing charge, then you just don't have the damage to kill anybody, unless they're playing like really badly. Like there was one moment where the guy was chasing me like past a fire bat, and I just stunned him in it. And he got greedy, and I just stunned him in it, and that gave me the win. But then I guess you could argue that the way I play like a brawler kind of build, which is what I like to play, isn't really how you're supposed to play hammers. Like you're supposed to play like more of a hit and run kind of build where you go in, dump your damage, then get out, wait for your cooldowns to come back, and then go for it again. But the way I like the weapons and items in this game are now, like you used to be able to do that with like the old mage cowl where it was like an applied poison, but now it's like where's the damage? If I'm using slowing charge, like where's my damage supposed to be? Just like spamming Q while I'm getting dumpstered on, and like even if I hit him with a slowing charge, it never really felt like it did much. I didn't use the refreshing sprint, which maybe I could have done that instead, but then it was like the problem was like anyone who was ranged, anybody who was like ranged, I would have to use my slowing charge, my the gap closer, just to get close to them, and that's one ability less that I have. And they could, I don't know, they could have a snare or whatever, or like something that creates a gap between us, like a frost shot or just like a curse staff snare. And then it's like, well, there goes my E, and I'm taking damage, and I'm nowhere near my opponent, so I can't do damage, and I'm just getting dumpstered on. So it's like, yeah. Anyways, I'm not gonna go, for too long with this. I could do an entire video. I could do like maybe a 10-hour video of just ranting about random stuff in the game, random abilities, go through every weapon and be like, okay, this kind of sucks, this is kind of cool. I think every single range weapon needs to have a something that stops them from being able to just hit and move, hit and move, hit and move all the time. Like obviously there is, like for the bow for example, you need to stand still and shoot. But most of the time they don't. They just use instant abilities and just keep walking away from you while kiting you, and you're just like you have to run towards them if you want to kill them. So I don't know. Maybe they find they finally bring out that ideal that I was suggesting, where they bring out like a 1v1 arena and do like the same thing where like the circle gets smaller and smaller so they can't kite away as much. Or I don't know. I really need to stop though, because I've been going over these lines. Like I've been ranting about like all the abilities. I was going through all the stats and how bad they were, and I've been saying like the same things over and over again, trying to get like my point out there. But then it was like a little too long, and I'm basically just killing myself. I've been talking like 2 hours, but you're only ever gonna hear like 5 minutes. But before I end it, I wanted to quickly look over at what's left of the journey, because I didn't realize this at the start, but We're actually getting really close to the end of the series, like the entire series, the entire budget corrupted dungeon series that's been going on for a while. Like we're actually almost done. On the bottom here, I have all the weapons that are left to play. So we have Holy. There's of course the hammers that I just started. There's the Frost, and then there's quarterstaffs, and then there's also the shapeshifter staffs, which aren't on here, but they should be. So, but that one's going to be like the very last weapon I use because it's obviously not very budget, but it'd be fun to use anyways. So yeah, I just wanted you guys to know that I've been talking to myself for like 2 hours and just constantly editing out everything because it just didn't fit or too aggressive or whatnot. So that's gonna be it for me, guys. I am going to get some sleep and I'll see you tomorrow. Living in a crowded dream, searching for the